Hey, Kliq This fans, want to get closer to the show than ever? Join Kliq This TV. Kliq This TV offers early commercial-free access to wrestling's hottest podcast, plus live audience tapings of their show every friggin' week. Head to kliqthistv.com now and get inside the show that's just too sweet.
The following podcast contains mature language and adult discussions.
Kev, can you hear me out here? Kev, are you still in the capsule? Is this your cock? What am I holding here? Does it look good? They're gonna know it's an actor, Kevin. Oh, they're rolling? God damn.
Unbelievable.
You are looking at what I had to be educated this week. I saw the moon landing footage that everyone does, the MTV opening gimmick. Kev's like, dude, you ever see the Project Gemini footage? I'm like, do tell. For those of you listening, what we were just treated to was some black and white. I'm gonna put the quote unquote on the actual footage, Kev. How about that? That's the best I can do.
This is what was shown, and in the background you can hear the actual anchor people from the station explaining to us what we're seeing. And as this thing goes on, all of a sudden you're going to see like Earth kind of come into the shot for proximity, but they're shooting in my recollection, this is the first spacewalk that was ever filmed.
So Kev's point was,
who the fuck is filming
where are they
this?
shooting from?
Yeah.
Where are the cameramen?
And how are they getting cuts? I mean, I know that Kevin Dunn's been around a while, but like this probably was Keith Mitchell.
And I feel like I see, like, on the top of the guy's back, maybe some pulling where there might be a string. Like, it looks like there's some buckling on the
but this was and oh Jesus!
I just feel like I see, like, on the top of the guy's back.
What the fuck is that? Is that supposed to be Earth below him? It looks
now
like
the shadow's interesting too. Is the shadow consistent with where the sun would be?
Oh, dude!
In relation to the Earth.
If you want to talk shadows, don't watch the Apollo. Don't watch them land on the moon. So, okay. Steve, you're going to have to cut in here because
I was just going to say, Steve and Dom,
Steve,
is there anyone who thinks that was real?
No. I want to ask Steve a question first.
Go ahead.
So I watched a thing about AI the other day, and there is an AI, and I don't know what the term is, but you can ask an AI, like you can type this AI and you can say, did we land on the moon? And it will tell you, and it'll ask you what percent you believe, and she said 96%. And it will fucking lay out all the reasons why it didn't happen. And you can do it for anything. Princess Di, anything, any conspiracy, you can do this with this AI. And 1 out of 4 people completely change their opinion once they read the AI interpretation and breakdown and the fact checking, because fact checkers have went back and checked this information and it's like spot on. So this is
let's test it.
It's another game changer.
So this is GPT-01, and what it does is it thinks for a long period of time. So instead of just giving you something, it thought for 5 seconds, and now it says
that's a long
the Apollo
time
moon
nowadays,
landings.
By the way.
The Apollo moon landings beginning in 1969 are well-documented historical events by extensive evidence. Wait, I told you to tell me why it was... All the fact-check reason the moon landing isn't real, and then...
Well, it says there's no fact-checked reasons to suggest that the moon landings were not real. Evidence
Okay.
includes...
Then we need to find what
Laser
LLM you were using,
reflectors.
Kev. All right.
It wasn't. It was somebody else was using it. Like somebody else had, Let's ask this one about the Kennedy assassination. Since
All right.
that's a hot topic on this show.
September
So
2025. Monkey Morales is the name of the book.
It's talking.
It's thinking.
It's thinking, navigating.
It's navigating misinformation delicately.
Oh,
Evaluating the conspiracy theories, explaining the assassination. 7 seconds it took. The assassination of JFK is a well-documented historical event. While there have been numerous conspiracy theories, there are no fact-checked reasons that conclusively disprove the established account.
Okay, so the
Because
one that we looked up is fucking
works for the government.
yeah, exactly.
This
Yeah,
is
give
the
me
White
the-
House's version of...
Shit, I wish. And you know what? I was
Sean,
gonna
give me the name of...
I was gonna run it back and take notes. God forbid if I was to ever but this thing, the thing I watched was fascinating.
Well, AI is a people pleaser. So, like, if I push back on it, so if I say, tell me more about the friendly fire theory.
Well, here's one thing that I write about in the forthcoming book.
What exactly happened at P. Diddy's parties?
I'll wind up on a list if I ask it that.
Exactly. I saw a picture today of Trump, Melania, and P. Diddy all sitting there together. And then I immediately said, you know what? This is about as real as the woman saying that Kamala Harris hit her and hit and run her. And they show like this. It was this Russian bot that made the news cycle. And so what does it tell you if like Meta and a lot of these other social media things are saying that the Russians are really pushing the narrative like anti-Kamala? Does that mean that they would prefer the guy that wants to fucking like defund NATO?
I think so.
Yeah, think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Since you mentioned NATO, I can go into... Thank you, guys. You sent me an interesting clip. Now, I'm sorry, RFK Jr. is... I would consider him fringe at best. Okay,
Right.
He gets a little loopy. I do think he's engaging. I've listened to him on interviews.
I watched him on Mar. He was, it's like anything else. So he's about 20% bear paw, and then you just.
But his speech on Ukraine, on Ukraine and funding, and actually NATO, it all ties into NATO and funding.
And actually, it's just that when we were all kids, it was the Rothschilds, and now the Rothschilds have been replaced with BlackRock.
Right. So what we're talking about, of course, is our defense contractors. And when we hear, and I think the average person is busy and doesn't have time to drill down, we hear giving money, giving aid. Zelensky doesn't get a blank piece of paper check, right? So in this case, because it's a military action, what's happening is that your defense contractors, Northrop, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, Lockheed, they're providing weapons, right? So if anyone's got a blank check, it's going to be your defense contractors. And with NATO, and this is it's a direct quote from RFK, and it was interesting food for thought. With NATO, if you're gonna hop on the NATO train, like Tyrus is big on the train, if we're gonna hop on the NATO train, you have to abide by the military purchasing agreements that we have in place already. So the biggest beneficiaries of NATO are all these defense contractors. But as I'm watching RFK Jr. expose this, what he's endorsing a Republican, and he's speaking out against current administration, but in a roundabout way, defense contractors. They can't be happy with this.
No.
This is a bit of a rogue. This is a bit of a rogue move. Although I didn't see the date on the piece I saw.
When he talks about basically the breadbasket of Europe is the Ukrainian farmland, which is already 30% of that has been bought by Monsanto, Cargill, whatever the other one was, which are all subsidiaries of BlackRock. And it's just like when it's like I don't know what percentage it is of single family homes. I know that it's north of 20% of inventory is owned by BlackRock. Like BlackRock owns everything. They're like, they're the new Halliburton.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, but people don't understand also, it's just when we have, say, the F-16, and we have 2 generations of fighter jets that we've put, beyond that. So these are now the early Teslas. And so we sell them to Saudi Arabia. And like for a pretty damn good penny, because they can't you can't manufacture fucking fighters. I mean, you watch these films of the Russian fighters, they're getting shot down by machine guns. So say they get the F-16, and then with the F-16 becomes a system of parts, ammunition, advisors, people to teach them how to fly. So you're basically selling a startup into this fighter jet protocol, and people they just don't get it. They just don't get it. It's like, this was one of my favorite things that I saw this week, and people keep telling me that I'm out of touch. I'm so out of touch when it comes to groceries.
Oh yeah, Kev. You don't know what it's like to buy eggs right now.
I don't, because everybody knows that once you accumulate enough wealth, they just drop food off at your house, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
You just you get on like a system. It's like welfare, but the opposite.
Right.
So Kroger,
it's the Rothschilds.
Yeah, Kroger raked in $466 million in Q2 of 2024, with year-to-date earnings hitting $1.4 billion. That's nearly double what it earned last year. Okay, so double. Their earnings are double, but this is our administration's fault. This is Kamala, and this is fucking Joe Biden's fault. Now, the fault is that nobody puts any kind of restraints. This is the
price
problem.
Price gouging.
Yeah, there's nobody has to pay the piper, because if you do, you're socialist because you're against capitalism, because this is pure capitalism in their mind. The CEO was paid $15.7 million in 2023. 502 times what the average employee is paid. So just remember this next time you go grocery shopping and you think that 4 years ago things were better. I told my wife the other day, I said, I remember when we used to put our masks on and go in separate cars and go out and hunt for toilet paper 4 years ago? Do you remember those good old days? And it was like a super win if you could just get like 2-ply. Like I remember going into the crown room at Delta and taking my Detroit street skills to basically break open the box in the shitter and take 2
the
rolls of toilet paper and put it in my briefcase. And that was better than the payoff I was getting. It was just like, honey, how'd you do?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, baby. I got 2 rolls of 2-ply.
Double ply. Yeah.
You know. Ugh.
Well, it's
Good times.
it's valuable information, and the rhetoric that gets. You see, this is the shit. We're in a headline society now. People get their news from swiping. Most people are tapping into stories from seeing it on a feed, whatever social feed you use. So that's the source of information. There's not a lot of drill downs, not a lot of time when you're sitting on the toilet, because that's when everyone's getting their news, when they're scrolling down. And, oh, wait, a cat video. So, we're off the news now. So, so a little bit of an investigation uncovers stuff like this. You're right. There's no regulation, as far as I know, about consumer price gouging. And they'll say that the market sets that. Listen, I'm a capitalist too. I own 3 companies. I understand it. And I understand that the concept of, well, if one person decides to price too high, they'll price themselves out of the market, which is the term. Not if everybody does it, though. And what you saw in Steve's graphic he brought up on the screen there, they were listing Costco, Walmart, Publix, Albertson. This is not unique to Kroger. So if everybody feels they have to have a 15% increase in their toilet paper prices, maybe one's 12, maybe one's 11, but you're not paying what you paid 4 years ago. And that shoots holes in the you'll price yourself out of the market theory with capitalism, because everybody's in the same bed.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing is they went, they were talking to an economist, and he was just like, Donald Trump doesn't understand what tariffs even are.
Well, that's going to be passed on to the consumer. I don't understand how anyone who argues that does not understand that if Sony is paying, or pick any company in here, look at a car. Even though we have an American car, a lot of those parts come from overseas. Firsthand, right?
Ford makes several vehicles, and I forget like the most American-built cars, and they went through them. There was a list of 10. I think maybe the F-150 was 10th, and that was like the only one. Everything else on that sheet was, I think they were like all Toyota and Nissans, and because they're all those cars are built like in Alabama or someplace else where they can go where they're not union states. They're not United Auto Worker. It's just
we're gonna pay for it, and it's ignorant to think that we're not.
Yeah,
I don't believe in communist. Kev, you're not a communist. The capitalist system works to a degree, but you have to have some regulations on everything.
Well, that Dobbs-Frank thing, that like when there was the deregulation in our financial system, I remember I was in China shooting a movie, and we were building on to our home, and my wife got a no docs $400,000 or $500,000 loan with no docs. I mean, just basically went in, signed, they gave it, and we got a construction loan.
Right.
So when you're running, and that's when everybody was like buying houses, and the rate was so low, and they were flipping them, and it's just like, I bought this house. Yeah, I bought this house for 240, but it's worth 300 right now. So, it's like I got 60,000. It's like, no. And then all of a sudden that shit pops, and you can play that game if you're Buffett.
It's like musical chairs. When the music stops, are you the fucking one standing with your 7 pre-construction homes in Florida? Florida was insane, Kevin. The pre-construction flips, people in 8 months could make $100,000 per property on a pre-construction flip.
I had a lawyer. We had like 3 or 4 of us, and we were invested, and the condos were going up faster than you could. I mean, and we would get into a building, and the pre-construction price of these units was $420. By the time they were cinder block, they were $680. By the time they closed, they're in the 800s, and we would flip at the 600 point. Once they got, and then on top of all that, people don't realize that until a condo gets 50% full, there's no homeowners. So it's kind of like the Wild Wild West.
Right.
And I like right now. I saw an article that said that 69,000 people left their jobs in Florida in June, and both, it was like just shy of 70,000 people just walked off their jobs in Florida, both in June and July
of this year.
Yeah, and it's because Florida is one of the worst states that has zero protection for workers. Not really union friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And they were I remember one of the comparisons was like California was like 24,000 people. And it's probably got 4 times the population. So it's just like, and you look at these things and it's just like, you know what? Yeah, things were so much better 4 years ago. You're absolutely right. Just
as you mentioned this, it's noteworthy to say on our recording day, the Dow has now set another all-time record today, surpassed 42,000. And S&P set an all-time record today too.
So I was watching, I don't know, it was Bloomberg I was watching the other day. They had an analyst on, financial analyst, and they were talking about the deficit. And they said that most Americans, most Americans don't even give a shit about the deficit. They don't care and it was, and I just kind of sat there and I'm watching this, and I'm like, yeah, it's like, this is, right when they're getting ready to kick the can down the street again with the federal government, and Trump is telling his people to, and I'm thinking, sooner or later, like people have to understand, you've already spent the money. Like the money, you got to kick the can down, but you got to stop the spending before you can do anything. And he said, the analyst, the one guy said, worst case scenario. He said, worst case scenario? He goes, well, worst case scenario is the world thinks that America can't make good on its treasury notes, and it devalues the dollar. Which of course throws us into a recession.
Right.
I said, and from there, who knows what? He said, that's worst case. And I'm thinking, oh, that's, and they're just, and then in the second, and then they go to commercial break, and now you're ready to cut your wrists. And they come back with, well, but they just cut the prime 0.5. I'm like, oh boy, man. And then I watched that night a story about this young couple in Indiana, that have $11,200 in credit card debt at like 30%.
Ugh.
They bought a house at $260,000 when they really couldn't afford above 200, but they were getting basically cash offers that were pushing them up and up and up. And they pay like $2,100 a month, and like $197 goes through principal. The
Oh, right,
rest
yeah.
is, and it's
Interest,
just,
sure.
and you see that and you say to yourself, wow. But then I realize also, I didn't own a home until I was 33 years old because of that. It was cheaper for me to just, because we didn't have a child, and I was on the road all the time, to have a 2-bedroom condo that we rented. And shit, back then, in 90, I think we paid $500 a month. There was no homeowners. There wasn't shit.
Mm-hmm.
It was back when my motto was, if you can't get your Sony Trinitron and all your clothes out of your place in an hour, you got too much shit. So yeah, has my life changed? Yeah, but this tank top I have on is, I bet you this tank top's 20 years old minimum. The shorts I've got on, 10. I mean, it's just like, I don't spend money.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. And they're like, you don't understand, because no, motherfucker, I drove a 2005 Mustang for 18 years that I paid cash for, and bought a 2020 and 23 or 22 that had 4,000 miles on it, that basically was almost a wash, and I'll probably drive that till I die. So it's like,
What are your extravagancies? You have to have something that you would, and in a heartbeat, drop $5,000 on right now. What would it be?
nothing.
No passion. There's no passion. A classic car. You just got a nice classic car. I know your day-to-day car is.
That's I got that because the market is so down right now. That's probably that was. I looked at those cars in that kind of shape were $35,000 2 years ago. Now they're $22,000. So, but at the same time, I've got to get it to a mechanic and have them go all through it and everything else. And when it comes down to it, it's like, you're told by everybody that you'd never do anything for yourself. And when you just look at it, you're like, that's just a fucking headache. Like, I wish I wouldn't have bought that.
So,
Like, if I could get 23 for it tomorrow, it'd be gone.
God, you earn good money. You have investments that are solid, and we talk. You get excited when your financial guy gives you the good. Why do you love fucking? You're the worst guy to love money. Is it the game? Is
the game?
It's yes, right. It's
the game.
She wants me now, so I can turn her down.
Get them to the boat. I don't want to touch the fish. I just want to catch it and bring it to the boat, and fucking cut the line. Fuck that. I don't want it. I want to catch it. I want the struggle.
It's the pursuit.
I don't want it. That's when, I was talking to my brother. We had some, I'm not going to go into it, but we had some interesting things that occurred this past week. I will say this: I lost my stepfather on Tuesday, and I wasn't going to go into it because everybody thinks I'm on suicide watch anyway. Because
no, he's fine with this. Everybody, he's not fine that he passed, but he's fine with the situation. Please do not have to knock on the door for the wellness check.
Don't have a wellness check. But I felt really bad because my brother, like when my biological father passed, they put this fucking load on him, like, put in the backyard, like, hey, Mark, you're the man around the house now, so at 10, even though you haven't had a wet dream yet, you're in charge. And fucking just destroyed him. He was just like, what the fuck? It's just like, I'm just a kid. And then, of course, my stepfather's in hospice, and they call him, and he's got to go down, and my stepfather's laying in a bed with his mouth wide open, his hands are all like this, and he walks in, he's just like, oh, Jesus. So, long story short, he always, as my big brother, he's always played the role of the big brother. I mean, he's done it great. And so we've talked a lot this week. We had a really long talk, a good talk yesterday. And it's funny because we've spent our lives apart, but we're so much alike. We're so Nash, like politically and and he said to me, he said, Cab, he says, can you do me a favor? And I said, yeah, what, man? He says, could you not fucking talk so much wrestling? He goes, I love listening to your show because it's funny because you just tell people to fuck off. He says, I just love that. He says, I love when you just tell people. He says, but like, there's like 200 wrestling podcasts for
Did
people
he say that?
Yeah. He said, there's like 200 wrestling podcasts for people that want to listen to the X and O's of, the zone defense coverage and how to, throw the slant through it. He said, I just want you to tell somebody to fuck off. So I said, you know what? This week we will not talk any wrestling. So what are we in right now? How far are we in the show? 35
I think
minutes?
about a half hour, a little more.
Yeah, so
we're good so far.
If you think we're going to talk about CM Punk, we're not. So,
for your big brother who's kind of, looked after you in that way for your whole life, I think you could give him some good advice and tell him that the beard and balls bundle from MANSCAPED is here. It's time, folks. It's time.
Carol will like that info.
Yeah, Carol. Christmas is coming. Listen, guys.
Tell my sister-in-law.
Do you want your grooming routine to be a one and done? Who doesn't? Who wants to spend excess time doing that? Well, the days of using the same trimmer for your face and your private parts are over. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped. They've come up with the ultimate package to keep your hairs trimmed from 12 to 61. Introducing the Beard and Balls Bundle. Okay, it's featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger, a trimmer for the moneymaker, okay, on your fotch. And another one separately for the boys downstairs, okay? You don't have to cross-contaminate. And this is amazing. You're getting 20% off this week, plus free shipping, for Christ's sake, if you use the code KLIQ, KLIQ, at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code KLIQ. Kev, you've got a set coming to you. I was notified.
I saw the email.
Okay, good.
And this is one thing I'll say for Manscaped is the first time they ever came aboard as one of our sponsors, they sent us a kit.
Yeah.
I still use that trimmer, and it's been years now, at least 2 years, that I use that trimmer on my armpits like every probably 4 days. And then I still like take that and go in the shower and trim back to the base of, trim back anything that's, and then I've got my own, system out, people, I'm sure you don't want to hear my,
we could leave it there.
yeah, but,
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to ask you something. I was talking to somebody yesterday about Manscaped because I saw there were new products coming, and
I just want to say this, though.
Go ahead, please.
The size of my cock, it takes a hell of a charge, and Manscaped's there for me.
Yes. You mentioned charge. How I am stunned at how long I get off of a full charge on that Manscaped. I don't know. I think I have the number here, but I feel like it's been, I can get 3 months out of the thing before I have to plug it in again.
Yeah, if you're traveling, it's not one of these fly-by-night gimmicks that you put in your bag and it gets shuffled around, it gets turned on. You got to turn this thing on. It's not gonna get run down in your bag or something.
Guys, 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. You can choose between a precise trim or a smooth finish. Did I mention it's waterproof? Kevin did. He just mentioned the shower. It is waterproof. You can trim it in the shower. Avoid making a mess everywhere. Perfect for those of you who appreciate the efficiency of getting it done while you're in the shower. Guys, 20% off. Free shipping. Use the code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q. They're so well made. The kits, these kits we're talking about, they're not meant for us, just the hosts. We got this impressive kit. I was like, wow. They're taking care of us when they first came on board. This is what you guys get, too, in these kits. Get you 20% off, get you free shipping, manscaped.com. No more juggling multiple tools for up north and down south, okay?
And I still use the bag as my toiletry bag on the road.
Yeah. We've got several after that, too. You had the original, the leather one, the first one they sent us? Yeah. That's a great one. Tremendous. Thank you, Manscaped, for not just for advertising, but for making a great damn product.
Thank you for thank you for making my life. Look at those pits, man. Boom. Those are clean pits, baby.
Kev, the socials were ablaze with discussion of last week's show. You can get us at our Kliq This podcast on Instagram, and Alessandro Bogazzi, clearly a Jew, says he will always be one of the boys, referencing Kevin, and I hope he will unblock me one day. I still don't know why he blocked me years ago. So Alessandro Bogazzi appreciates that you're one of the boys and would like an unblock. Anthony Maurizio.
He'll have to tell us what his
what the problem was?
No, he'll have to tell us what his.
Oh, I'll send it to you later. Yeah,
I'll unblock him. You know what though? The thing is, I don't randomly just block people.
Something had to go down.
Yeah, it's obviously your sense of humor and mine probably just didn't mix one day, and you have to realize, man, I don't wake up and go, oh, I've got so and so far. I don't give a. If I woke up and had 0 followers,
it'd be a good day.
It wouldn't. Yeah, it would be like, oh, I'm not being. I'm not under the microscope for what I say or do today.
Anthony Maurizio, I see a theme here. Hope to see Kevin Nash come out and powerbomb Logan Paul on TV and cut a no respect for the business promo. I'd watch the hell out of that little program.
See, that's the beauty of being a 65-year-old guy that nobody knows. They still think that you're going to show up on their TV
on Raw next
and
week.
Stick somebody. Hey, that ain't a bad. You know what? Maybe that was my whole reason for saying what I said.
You and Paul are up to something, aren't you?
I mean, he's fighting old man Tyson. I mean, his brother is.
I meant Paul Levesque are up to something.
Oh, Paul Levesque. Paul don't want to. He's got enough headache without having me in his fucking locker room. Yeah,
he's all right.
Jesus Christ. He loves it. We love each other, but I am that old school guy that,
that someone might have to turn to and go, Kev, it's a different business now. It's not like it was. Just don't mention it. They move this fast all the time.
It's like, okay. I'm sorry, but I disagree, but that's fine.
Blue Elvis.
I still have a problem when Henry runs the ball for, who's he with now? The Titans? No, he's with the.
He was with
the Titans. Where'd Henry get traded to?
Who the hell?
See with Okay.
Thank you, Dom.
Ravens, yeah. So Lamar, you got Lamar and you got him. So the first game of the year, I don't know. He runs. I know he averaged 3.5 yards a carry, and I'm thinking to myself, and they're like, well, it's not the same Henry. I'm thinking he got 3.5 yards a carry, which means if he runs the ball 3 times,
It's a first down every
he's
time.
going to get 10.5 yards, which is a first down. How is that? I'm sorry, unless it's electric football, that's still that's a win. So
As a Cowboy fan, I enjoyed watching some great players over the years, and Emmitt Smith was one of them. And the thing I loved most about Emmitt, they play all the great highlights where people slid off him like he was greased and they couldn't tackle him, and 12 guys he's blowing through. I loved the fact that Emmitt Smith, when he went to the line, he was handed the ball, and it looked like there was nothing there, he got 2 yards. Whereas somebody would have lost one, he got hit at the line of scrimmage.
see, you were a Cowboys fan.
Mm-hmm.
See, I had the pleasure to watch Barry Sanders
course.
without an offensive line get up to the line and get 9 yards while running 57 back and forth. So Emmett, if Sanders would have continually, Sanders had years left. Emmett would not have surpassed him.
He's on top, brother. Just how it is.
That sounds like a Diddy fucking party.
Oofa. Blue Elvis has tweeted this. Steve, you can bring up the visual. He says, "Good stuff." About the beverage, but he'd like to know why Kev looks like Chris Hemsworth in the photo, and it's because we're getting some new artwork is coming soon. We'll be happy to see. My daughter said I look like Paul Rudd there.
Okay, Hemsworth #1 does not have dark hair, so I think it's let me pull that up and we look at it. I look more like Chris Pine than I'm gonna go with a Chris Pine vibe.
Yeah. New artwork coming soon, but these are the collector's cans. This is the first batch. We're not touching the flavor. The flavor is going to stay exactly the same. I'm such a fan. I'll talk about it more a little later when the ad comes up. But I'll open one for you, Blue.
They don't even have my son's tattoo on my other forearm.
This is yours tonight, Kev. This is the green, the key lime, Kev's key lime. Brandon Flores, just for future note and clarification on Logan Paul in Puerto Rico, he stays in Dorado, which is a well-off area with several gated communities. A lot of transplants from the U.S. live there.
I thought he stayed at the Ritz-Carlton, or on the Ritz-Carlton property.
But couldn't that be in Dorado?
No, I would. I'm just saying though, it's not only is it a Ritz. Of course, the guy's worth $150 million. Do you think he's in a single wide someplace?
This is so damn good. C says when did 2 to 3 commercials during a match become a thing? You often talk about your disdain for picture-in-picture.
But I also think that if I go back and I think about 1993 when I went to the WWE for the first time, and the only person, like there was maybe in that 2 hours, one match that did 10, 12 minutes. Everything else was a 3-4 minute squash match, and you could just do a 3-minute match and then go to commercial. 3-minute squash, do a commercial. So the business has changed because they give #1, there's 3 hours. So if you hot shot and don't give, there's just, you've got to put time in, and then you've got to go to commercial break. But they can't. These guys are so talented athletically that
But this would be my geeky question for Paul if I had 5 minutes. I don't care about pushing, care about titles. What happens to the advertiser rate when you want to talk about years ago, like you said, if I'm watching the Nash Goldberg match on WCW, oh, we got to go commercial, we'll be right back. And I'm sitting through, my full attention is, if I don't get up, take a piss or something, is on that ad. So I've paid, if I'm the advertiser, I'm the company, I've paid for my Pizza Hut ad to land in that main event spot in the middle of the match. Probably could charge me a fortune back then during the Monday Night Wars.
Not as much as the $5 billion that Netflix is kicking the WWE.
Different story, because that's new news. But, in the past couple of years, what are they paying for a split screen while a match is still on? Doesn't that lower your rate precipitously that you can charge Pizza Hut now? I think they
I mean, I look
away.
at what they're doing now, and especially at like pay-per-views, where each match is brought to you by, it's like the banners on the out. It's like the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA. It's like the banner changes around the court, and it's.
So by adding new revenue streams, you make up for what the in-match advertising loses.
So I mean, there's so much, and especially when you've got, and I don't even know what the number is, but it's over $1 billion. I know that they get hits on all their socials.
Crazy.
So everything that they do, there's so much revenue that's not even really when they're saying we're going to cut from 250 to 200 because we're going to cut the antiquated bullshit house shows out of the system. I mean, we used to have to go over to Europe and frack that economy because we just weren't drawing in the States, but we were still drawing in the UK, Austria, Germany, so we would go over there, and hell, we'd run 22, 23-day loops, come home, do TV, and go back to Europe.
But in keeping with the since we're disappointing your brother here for a minute and talking a little wrestling,
we're actually talking more of the
business. We're talking business.
Yeah,
it could be any business, really. So in talking about business, in going to the 2-hour deal on USA Network now, which is going to happen until Netflix. Now, remember, with Netflix, with streaming, they can go on infinite amount of time. They don't have to cut off for something else coming next. So whatever's going on that week, they could go 3 hours, they could go whatever.
But they'll have, I guarantee you, I mean, unless you have that premium service where you don't have advertising, you're going to get advertising. It won't be as much as you do on USA, but you're still going to get Netflix advertising during the Raw program.
But I'm saying they don't have to commit to a show length like you do on a broadcast network because they can just put anything on. But they're going to have to do 2.5 months of 2 hours. Do you think there's a chance that this would prove to be such a tight, well-packed show with no fat that it kind of opens up a door for them in seeing by going back to 2 hours and we trim the roster a little, maybe change the entire system, fewer angles, just kind of narrow everything?
Yeah, but it's. I think they've done a really good job of, like, AJ was gone for a lot of these guys are gone for a very long time, and Seth, like everybody's like, I'm sure wondering, but Seth's beat up. Randy was beat up to the point where he had to get his back. I don't know if he got it fused, but I know he had some surgical procedures done on his back.
So when your top guys start to get injured, you do need to keep that many options.
Yeah, you've got to, like I thought they, and I've said it, and I hate being redundant, but I will. But like when Punk was hurt, I thought they did a really good job keeping Phil, relevant, but not to the point where they put him, in the booth and made him a color guy.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be like in our era, like you were a worker bee, and then if you got that color spot, that was an elevation. Like if you were the color commentator, that was an elevated spot above being a guy in the ring. And now it's if you're still a player, then that kind of diminishes you. That's more for the guys that have retired from in-ring.
Right. I think personally, I'd benefit from being offered a 2-hour tight show, just kind of a little more streamlined. It sometimes feels like I'm all over the place.
So
I
just
try to
hope
get through a
that
3-hour Raw now.
yeah, and I just don't have the time to watch 3 hours of anything.
Yeah,
I
no, agreed.
mean, it's to sit there and watch like tonight's football game. Like I'll be happy to come in at halftime,
Right.
and watch the second half. I won't feel that, I hope it's not a blowout, but it's hard for me to to
Did you
watch
put any
it.
action on it tonight? You have any action tonight?
No, I didn't put any action
I
on
didn't
it.
touch it either.
They're all over Rogers has been all over the place.
Yeah. Jeff has written in, he says CodyRhodes versus an in his prime X-Pac would have been a great wrestling match. Agreed. Is there anyone X-Pac hasn't had a great wrestling match?
No, I saw a thing. I was looking through something, and it was Eric's. Maybe Eric's podcast. I don't know if it was Eric's podcast or he was on somebody else's. And I didn't hear it. I just read it, and he was saying how he really felt that Sean Waltman was really underappreciated, and that he didn't get the credit he desered.
I saw that. That was
when
just
he,
the other day.
Yeah, when he made the move to DX, and he gave DX kind of that a little bit more of a real flavor, because they pushed Sean out, and then they brought in Billy and Road Dogg and so then China and Kid.
You know who said that to me too one night? Another visual I can't get out of my head. Sullivan had worked that night, and he was washing his gear. He's washing his fucking ball jock in the sink with the Tide Pod gimmick, and he's turning around and he's telling me, he goes, "You know who made that faction? X-Pac," he was saying to me. So he was a very big proponent too. Of what Sean did.
There's a reason he's in the Hall of Fame twice.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So yes, Jeff, we agree.
Did anybody see the Instagrams of Sean now? How old is Sean now?
He's my age. We're the same age. He's 51.
Did he turn 50?
Yeah.
Is he 50? Is he 51?
Mm-hmm. He was born the same year.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Paul's 10, and then he's So, but it was like the first time he'd been tubing. So he was up in Minnesota.
I saw him getting bounced around. But you know what I did this morning? It's funny you brought that up. There's a video of him with his grandson while the boat's going. I'm like, God, that's such a great still. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It was like 5:45 in the morning before I got in the shower. And I took a snap of it, and I put it in black and white, and I just sent it to him. And fortunately, hopefully he had his phone off. It would have dinged at 5:50 in the morning. Yeah, I was like, God, that's a still. I hope someone can grab that. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me do it real quick. And it's just so great. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's in a good place.
He's in such a good place. He's a great guy.
Makes me happy.
And you know what gets me in a good place, Kev? I've just been talking about it. I've been sipping it on the air here, and we might as well consider this the high spot of the show, because our friend Mickey Ray Sinatra and his gal Courtney and their company, Stay Lit, Lit Aid, Get Blitzed. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but you know what? You can drink us now.
I actually drank one of yours the other day.
Not bad, that fucking blue
No,
raz.
not bad. Not bad. It was a good choice.
We're talking right now about our seltzer, the Kliq This seltzer. But don't forget, they have a core product, that THC sip and syrup, where you can be the chemist. This can, of course, comes pre-mixed, but if you get the sip and syrup, you can do the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde gimmick there. It's a syrup. You mix it in a beverage like a tea, like a white soda, little as a teaspoon, with a fast onset of 5 to 15 minutes. And you're rolling. Nano-infused means it goes right to your bloodstream, bypassing the breakdown in the liver. So it works just like alcohol, okay? If you live in Maryland, drop into one of their stay-lit smoke shops. But for the rest of you, it's legal to ship right from their website to all 50 states without a med card, as long as you're over 21. Right now, you can save 15% by entering the code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q, at checkout. It's at get-blitzed.com, get-blitzed.com. That's B-L-I-T-Z-E-D. But there's a pre-sale giveaway now for these bottles we're showing. If you order 2 bottles, like our friend did before, we showed you the video of Blue Elvis there with his order. If you order 2 or more bottles of the Lit Aid, hey Ace, I'm glad you're enjoying the stuff. You're going to get one of these. You're going to get a limited edition pre-sale can of our seltzer powered by Kliq This.
And even as bitter as I am, a bitter old man, I still haven't found anything to mix that key lime with that's better than Prime. So,
but if
go figure.
But you won't have to be a mixologist.
I've been putting Prime over for forever, so I'm not going to stop. It's a good product.
Orders over $200, you're getting 2 cans of the limited edition label right here. So be sure to specify during your checkout in the notes if you want the key lime pie or the blue raz Oliver Aid. Go to get-blitzed.com. Tell Mickey we sent ya. All right. I'm loving these. I love these. I'm giving them to everyone I know. I have 2 cases, right? You got the 2 cases, one of each flavor. I'm giving them to everybody.
See, when I got the 2 cases, I just dragged them in and put them in the pantry, and mine had the key lime on top.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even look at the one below it.
Get down to the blue.
And then I gave Lewis a 4-pack, and then I realized, there's both our flavors here.
Yeah.
So
good stuff. And if you want to,
it's nice because and I don't know if everybody out there is taking my advice on this athletic non-alcohol beer, but I cannot find the non-alcohol light. So I haven't been able to find my my non-alcohol beer that I drink at night. So I've switched to the seltzer. So
yeah, and it puts you in the right mood to watch some sci-fi.
Yeah, I watched it.
If Tamara taps out early,
she always taps out early because she's so busy. But I'm going to throw out a recommendation. Anybody that hasn't seen the movie Life, that's on Netflix right now. It's a sci-fi with Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of an Alien ripoff, but it's interesting.
All right, that's the weekly recommendation. Will you be recommending the Nicole Kidman show?
No.
Perfect Couple?
No, I won't.
I was almost roped into that one. I passed out before.
I would pass on that. I am really stoked. My buddy Channing Tatum, who his girl Zoe Kravitz directed Blink Twice, and that just came on my pay channel.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, because
So
I'll watch that.
I'm sure it's $19.99 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
but
it's fun.
that we've got I think Lewis and Peggy will probably come over Saturday night, and we'll watch a little Blink Twice and have
I'll
some.
check that out. I was going to hit it in the theater. I did Beetlejuice
Yeah,
instead.
I wanted to hit it, but it's God, man, it's so hard to go to the theater when you have that option. You know, like I just.
Well, it's pretty. If you got a good sound system, if you got a
Oh
banging
God,
sound system,
yeah, and just
big screen.
the fact that you can hit pause and go take a piss,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and then you can rent it, or you can buy it, but you can rent it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you do. And there's a lot of times I'll watch a film, and just because she directed it, I'll wait a day, and before it goes, like I think you get it for 48 hours or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch it back and just to see how she shot it, what options she decided to, just look at it from from a director's view, like through a lens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to that, to just kind of analyzing it, because people have really like put her over strong and put her eye over, and they say this movie's is really good. One of my really good friends, Adam Rodriguez, um, had seen it. I mean, I don't know if he was at the open, but I know that he saw it early, and he really been. Adam's if Adam tells me to watch something, or read something, or do something, I do it, because his taste is impeccable.
Right.
Much, 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 much unlike mine.
Coppola's new one is coming out next month. Megalopolis. This thing
Right.
is. I saw the timeline on this. I follow him on Insta, so I've been seeing little pieces throughout the year. But
Didn't you
wrote-
send me that, like a clip of that or something? A
I-
screenshot?
maybe I was high. I don't remember. But I don't know. But there's maybe the timeline I sent you, because I couldn't believe. I swiped across. He wrote this in 1984. He wrote the treatment for it. It was like a 160-page treatment. Turned it into a script a few years later. Had been working it. He did a staged reading with, I think, Ryan Gosling and some other actors in like 2001. This thing has just been made this year. So that's either an indicator of a problem. Why has this taken 40 years? Is it going to be a distorted mess with no real clear thoroughfare, or is it the life's masterpiece that's been worked on? So I'm eager to see. It's kind of a dystopian. It looks like a dystopian type thing.
What exactly is determines dystopian in this fucked up world that we live in? Like what?
Maybe it's a documentary. Now that
well, yeah. What exactly is
Yeah, well, I think there'll be a lot of parallels, probably.
I'm sure there will.
And
be.
I just wonder how a project like that, which is a societal commentary, I haven't seen it. It's probably going to be a societal commentary. How does that change over 40 years? The message had to have changed.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's probably the. Once we watch it, we'll probably see that it was topical, and it just at each 5 years it just didn't.
Right, you got to make just a little perspective change or a couple of details.
It's it's like Back to the Future. Like what year did they go to in Back to the Future?
Steve, what was it? They were in 85 and they flew forward to 2015.
2015. So I mean, 10 years ago.
So they go forward. So first they go back in the one, and then in the second one they go forward. I know.
Yeah.
You talk about a dystopian view. I was I was in awe this week when I saw there was more violence overseas, but they were detonating.
How
Mossad was detonating
how insane was that?
pagers, and then the day after in Lebanon, more Hezbollah terrorists were taken out with walkie-talkies.
I think that if you've got a pager on your fanny pack in 2024, you're asking.
You make
You're
fun of Eric
asking for-
Sims' fanny pack.
Yeah, you're asking for some shit to go down.
So this had to have happened somewhere in the manufacturing chain, right?
Because they were manufactured supposedly in Hungary, but then you go to you go to the address or whatever where this company is. It's got like a cardboard sign that says,
closed forever.
No, like whatever it is, DTS or whatever enterprise is, and it's one of those things where like 600 things are being, it's just a bullshit shell.
So they find out where this order's going. Just the levels of intelligence from a spy. I mean, I'm wrapped in spy world from this book that I'm finishing, but just the levels of infiltration. You got to find out, where do you even begin? They're being manufactured. Who ordered, where they're going, confirm that they're actually going to be used by the organization, then get in there somehow, get this detonation device near the battery, so that it responds to this particular code that has to be sent. I mean, they didn't all go off when they were sending each other stuff. It was triggered by a certain code that was sent.
One of the news stories that came out of this was that this was going to, in some form or fashion, allow the Israelis to move back into the northern regions where they've been pushed out of next to Lebanon. I'm thinking, don't they have like 200,000 missiles and rockets? And like, I just don't see this as, it's like, wow, we've sent off, we killed 23 people with these pagers / walkie-talkies. That ought to push them away so we can get back into our homes.
I think what this does, though, this would psychologically cripple technology and communication and stuff. They're going to have to rethink everything they have.
I think what it does more than anything, because if I was involved in a terror organization and I found out like 2 of my buddies got fucking whacked on pagers, like somewhere there's a fucking mole, a rat, like that's the psychology is there's no way this works without there being like double agents and
correct
super strong intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that I think really makes me think about like that kind of technology is to be able to shoot the Gemini spacewalk in 64 with several different camera angles. I mean, these are the things we were so cutting edge as the United States in 64 that this to me is nothing.
I am not a conspiracy theorist at heart, but when you told me what the footage was, and I was like, okay, here goes Nash with the Kubrick stuff, but I watched it, and I had taken my sleep gummy already. I could not stop replaying this video. If you're just listening, guys, if you're watching, you saw it already. If you're listening, please search it out. It's the Project Gemini space footage.
It's the Gemini. It's the spacewalk. I love the fact that he calls it the umbilical cord. He calls the cord that he's
umbilical
on.
cord. Yes.
Yeah. You call, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
It looks funny. Maybe it's real, Kev. Maybe it's real. Maybe they had floating tripods from multiple angles filming
Yeah.
this capsule. I don't know.
I just look at that, and it's the same as you look at that one Zapruder film, and there's a still shot as they go behind the street sign or whatever it is, and then when you look at the still shot, and then there's a tree that it's like the tree from halfway up is showing, but from the trunk down is missing.
Could have been a piece of damaged film, maybe
Well,
spliced.
I don't know. Have you ever watched how that, the cars they carry, and then they go behind the thing, and
a jump
down, it goes down, But
then the gate probably tripped one of the sprockets in the gate.
Oh, there's so much. I mean, there's always going to be an explanation, but it's.
Listen, you know what I need an explanation of, motherfucker? While you're on it, you've put me on this rabbit hole, and I found an extensive wiki on the Van Allen radiation belts.
Oh, Jesus!
And I don't I tried. I don't understand it.
But so. I'm watching.
The floor is yours.
Okay, first of all, I'm watching Lester Holt. Just NBC, just fluff. They're not throwing fucking beanballs at anybody. It's just they're just kind of throwing it out there. This is kind of, Sesame Seed for news. Sesame Street.
Yes.
And they have the 4 members, the first 4 civilians that have went up in space. And they talked to the blonde-haired, she would be considered an astronaut because, they went up, and they were saying how when they went out and they did the same thing, they did a spacewalk, 2 of them did, but because there wasn't an air hatch, when they opened the hatch to the space capsule, the atmosphere was the same inside the space capsule as it was outside where the people were walking.
Mm.
And she was explaining to Holt how the reason they were doing this is because they had went out far enough, and I want to think it was maybe 100 miles, but they went out and they went through the Van Allen belts, and they were, and Lester said, "Well, I guess we're talking about a little bit more radiation than an X-ray," and they all, and I'm thinking, okay, so we were going 100 miles out, but last time, I mean, I might not know exactly the ballpark, but I thought it was like 25,000 miles to the moon. I thought like I'm thinking like, shouldn't this be shit that was already covered? But when
we broke through it the first time,
but when then you read it, and because it's just like that AI thing that we looked at earlier, the explanation is, yeah, but if you blast through it fast enough,
that's good enough for me.
What? So what? I mean, it's just, and I look at this shit and I'm just like, oh, like,
what's the measurement criteria anyway? Because like the atomic bomb, for example, right? They know how much radiation was emanated, right?
When I worked at the NATO site, like we had like, indicators, and I mean, I never came up hot, but if you got around, especially if you went to, we're doing security where they had one of the nuclear weapons actually opened, like one of the warheads they had it was the what was it called? Service and Assembly Building or whatever it was, but they would have the warhead in there, and you'd be
Well,
you'd have,
you couldn't go near it, obviously, unless you were
no
suited.
shit. I was in the room with it.
But suited, no?
Yeah,
With
with fucking
protective-
with camouflage on.
No, it wouldn't. Oh, I meant protective gear.
Oh, fuck no. My job was to make sure nobody, fucked around.
Right. How many could one facility hold?
God, I don't know.
You couldn't keep a bunch in one place. That would be.
Oh, true.
Yeah, but if anyone
Dude.
ever penetrated that's the whole fucking country. This was Germany you're talking about, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you take a 155 nuclear howitzer round. And you know how big a 155 round is. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's a decent sized round.
Right.
And that round was so hot that when you fired it through a barrel of a 155 howitzer, that the barrel was done. You got one shot and it was done.
Wow.
And we had igloos that looked like the movie Aliens, with the pods that the things came out and sucked on your face.
Yeah.
We had igloos when you open it up that you looked across them and it was, because the whole thing was that at that point, our defense for Western Germany was, if Russia was to come, they were going to come in a large mechanized attack. And that would set off the heat sensors to the satellites. And we basically, the 42nd Field Artillery would, 5th Armor would, or the 5th Corps Army would beat them to the Fulda Gap. And then as they came, we would basically dump tactical nuclear weapons on the Russians and kind of melt them in place.
Hmm. What year are we talking? 7?
This is 80, I don't know, 81, 82, 83,
Right.
somewhere around there. Then shortly after that, because one of the things that they had was, it was called a Lance missile, and it was on a tracked vehicle, so it was mobile. So it was like and it was I don't know how many feet that was. Maybe it was 20 feet. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know if that missile was 20 feet. I forget what the range was. I knew all this shit back when I was 100 years ago.
I would hope you did, for Christ's sake. You were guarding it.
Yeah. It was. I was so good at my job. I rarely put myself over this strong. But this is when Caspar Weinberger was the Secretary of Defense. Mm-hmm. And he came to our site, and they could choose anyone to take him around and give him a tour of the NATO site. And they chose me. So it was me and Caspar and a couple other dignitaries and a couple of guards, but I was the one that explained basically what we did at NATO site for.
Right. And you only had 5 moves. You gave him the knee, the squisher.
I got a fucking medal. I got an accommodation. I got all kind of shit, man.
Where do you have it?
Huh?
Do you have it up or anything, or?
Yeah, my ass. I don't give a fuck.
I know. That's a cool thing, though.
It's
something you might want to look at every once in a while.
It wasn't like I got the fucking Purple Heart or the Congressional Medal of Honor. I mean, it was just, just being a good troop. That's all. Didn't take
Very
much.
Well, who better to give advice to the lovelorn or the or those in need of some direction than you for a Dear Sexy segment real quick here. We have an actual letter.
Should I do this as Patton?
The George C. Scott version of
Oh, how I love it all.
Dear Sexy. By the way, actual letters to Dear Abby, but what if Kevin Nash were to give the advice? Dear Sexy, my husband Howard and I have been married 5 years. I'm not sure I want to be married to him anymore. I haven't told him I feel this way, but he senses something is wrong. I'm afraid to bring it up because he has low self-esteem and becomes defensive. He fits the profile of a codependent person, and lately I feel like I'm his mother. I love Howard dearly. He has helped me raise my son, but I can't afford to waste the rest of my life with someone who's so insecure that I can't even polish my fingernails without him saying, got a date? This is no way to live, and I'm tired of it. The twist to the story is that I attend school part-time and have become friends with a man that I'll call Gary, with whom I'm absolutely fascinated. Gary's attractive, smart, and knows what he wants out of life and has a plan to get there. I keep asking myself, where was I when Gary was single? I live in a small town. I can't talk to anyone about my situation. Any suggestions? That's from Frustrated in Wisconsin.
I've always said this, that, anytime in any relationship, you don't even have to get married, but I mean, it just depends on how long you're in that relationship before the new car smell's gone. And you either, like me, that 05 Mustang that I drove for 18 years, you just continue to drive it. And you just, because it's dependable and it's there for you, and there's a comfort to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lot with relationships.
Right.
I think that anytime that anybody says something that's that's flattering to us, especially if the person's attractive, it's going to, like, you're going to be, oh, especially as you get older. I mean, you look at the guy that owns the Raiders. I mean, Jesus, that guy, that motherfucker doesn't think he's getting played by that 24-year-old blonde with that fucking bowl cut he's got on.
I saw a piece the other day. She said that she was attracted to his smile.
Yeah, fuck. He smiles because he's so fucking wealthy.
He's flossing with hundreds as he smiles. That's what was attractive.
The bearer bonds.
So advice to our Frustrated in Wisconsin. There's a Gary in the picture, just friends, but she's rather fascinated and really just does not want to be with Howard anymore.
Well, how about this? How about you blow your husband every morning when you get up? You just please him. See if he doesn't reciprocate, and then when he brings up your fingernails, go, really? And I guarantee you, if you say, if you bring up the fingernails again, the morning ain't gonna happen, and he won't bring
same advice Abby gave.
He won't bring up the fingernails again.
Right.
It's like, Gary right now is great. Gary fucking gets you back to a cheap motel, pulls down his pants, and he's got 3 boned out. Yeah. All of a sudden, Gary's just not so fascinating. The only fascination is, how the fuck do you get out of that room?
This is why we do the segment, folks. Kev, after I have a little something like my Lit Aid powered by Kliq This THC drink, I get a little hungry. I get the munchies a little bit, maybe.
I had that exact bar last night.
So what can I have right now to satiate my hunger? Magic Spoon, and of course everyone knows the Magic Spoon cereal.
We've been killing that shit at our house forever. T loved it.
Yeah, but now I'm excited everybody knows, everyone loves eating cereal, so you know about that. I don't want all the sugar that most cereals have, so and I need some protein too. So
That's high protein. Yeah,
Yeah. This is great. But here's the big news, Kev. The bars that you mentioned, they've turned their super popular cereal. I'm rocking the peanut butter right here, the cereal version and
the bar.
the bar version.
12 grams of protein.
Oh, it's so great. They're light,
They're
crispy.
kind of like, they're like Rice Krispie treats almost.
It tastes just like you'd expect them to. This is a chocolate covered peanut butter.
Oh, you prick! I'm sitting over here starving. Yeah,
There it is.
Ugh.
Listen, you can make this your after gym snack. It's really versatile, so easy to throw in your bag and just take. As for the cereal, though, every serving of Magic Spoon, 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. Most popular flavors, by the way, are fruity and cocoa. But listen, then we do have the peanut butter.
The frosted, the frosteds are like Frosted Flakes. I like the peanut butter. What I have found, because okay, so these are the keys health wise. Milk can lead to inflammation, can lead to lactose intolerance, but so we've with this Magic Spoon did some research. Coconut milk is amazing. No inflammation.
I bet with that frosted, the coconut milk and the frosted,
no inflammation. But then if you're gonna use milk, or you do drink milk, please use grass-fed skim, because that knocks the inflammation down, just because the omega-3s in your milk make it a much healthier. Or Ryan, you could just pour whole milk on it and just say, it's good.
It's good with anything. And I'm such a fan of these bars. They're amazing. They're
So did you get the THC buzz and they made you have the munchies?
I want, yeah. It's absolutely what's going down. I wanted to have my peanut butter bar. It's crispy, it's airy, and it's really an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. For the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores.
We've been killed. Yeah, when that box came, because I saw that when we got the email that Magic Spoons was going to be a sponsor, I was like, oh great, because we've been using buying the cereal. T loved the fruity one.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically Fruit Loops, and but we also liked the peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
And then we, like anything else, you go to, keep going, and finally it's just like they don't have that, so you go to. So we went through all of them, and they came. So I asked Tamara, I said, "What did they send us?" And then she opened the box, and she said, "Okay, they sent this." I said, "Okay." I said, "What are those little boxes?"
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, they're like little bars, like little treats." And I said, "Oh, fuck that, man! Give me that." I looked down at it. I could tell that was peanut butter. So I said, "Oh, that's gonna be like a Reese's." I said, "Let me have that." Yeah.
They're available in grocery
Show
stores.
the back of it. Show the back of that.
Oh, the chocolate?
Yeah, to see the back. Yeah. So it's like the back of it's got like a nice little chunk of chocolato.
And the great thing is, you're doing something wholesome for your body by doing this and having fun eating it and enjoying the flavor. You're going to get $5 off from us on your next order at magicspoon.com/Kliq, Kliq. Or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store now. That's magicspoon.com/Kliq, Kliq. $5 off. Magic Spoon. Hold on to the dream. Thank you, Magic Spoon. All right, back with Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast. They say first impressions are important. What about lasting impressions, Kev? That's where BLUECHEW comes in. BLUECHEW helps give men longer lasting and stronger erections, okay? So it's not just the ease of the rise. It's the time that you want to put in, no pun intended, you can perform your very best. BlueChew, you don't know what it is? I'll tell you. It's an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. The process is simple. You're going to sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you have your prescription within days. The ease of this, the online process, the anonymity of delivery, that's what makes this special. The product is a banger, too. Take them anytime, day or night. Plan ahead and just be ready when the opportunity arises, okay? We've got a special deal for listeners, as we always do, in our desire to have you perform at your very best. We're going to let you try BlueChew for free when you use the promo code NASH at checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code NASH to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for details and important safety information. And we thank BlueChew for sponsoring our show. They might be our first sponsor, Kevin.
I have to say this for gentlemen out there that have never used a
performance-enhancing drug.
Sexually performance-enhancing
Correct.
drug. Whether or not, like, you have any problem with an erection, or this is like going to the gym and taking like nitric oxide. Like, you just get a better pump. You feel better about yourself. You look down, you're like, hey, like this is so, I've never been one of those guys that said this has never happened to me before. Probably because I've found the miracle of BlueChew early. So
Right. Maybe you're someone who works near radiation. Maybe you're somebody who measures the Allen belt, and maybe it's permeated that region, and you need a little help. This will help you. I can recommend this. My highest recommendation. Ask Nash. Hashtag Ask Nash. Please still keep doing it on the socials like you do every week. And we get to a few every week. We get a lot. We don't be frustrated. We can't get to them all, but
we were talking this week, Sean, that when we took the comments off the YouTube channel, how much it was just disappointed us that we didn't get to read the hatred.
Horrific hatred. The nice comments are always great too, but it kind of brings the rain a little bit when Kevin has to relive things in his life that
like when people attack my son. I mean, I think at 65 years old, the most horrific thing I could think of is tearing somebody's throat out and ending up dying in prison because I fucking murdered someone. But like, that's kind of,
you don't have to now because you took the comments off.
I know, but that's that's how it's just like it. There's not many things on this planet, if you fuck with my wife, I'll kill you. But and if you're, my friends are. I mean, if I'm with them and somebody's messing around, that I always knew when Scott and I were on the road. If and Scott was always, he'd always start shit, but I always knew, man, if shit went down, if I took a bullet to the head, it wouldn't be like they weren't going to find us both side by side. It was always that Butch and Sundance, which is actually the name of our company that puts us out. But that was, was that how many were there? That last scene of Butch and Sundance when they are they're down in Colombia or wherever the fuck they're at, and they run out. This goes to freeze frame.
Mm-hmm.
What a great movie.
Russ Mack says, "Hey Kev, I hope all is well. What were your overall feelings about the Diesel gimmick? Did you enjoy it, or was it too cartoony new generation for your taste?"
No, I thought that the Diesel character was probably one of the less cartoony characters. It wasn't like I was Waylon Mercy with a dagger tattooed on my head.
You're right.
I mean,
Yeah, that kind
you
of
know.
was outside of that. We had pig farmers and hockey players, for Christ's sake, So
I mean, I thought that Brett's character was very Street Fighter.
yeah, it was authentic. Yeah.
I thought that fucking Scott's character was Street Fighter. I mean, there were so many people that when we'd go out someplace that would talk to Scott in Spanish.
In Spanish.
And they'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man, I'm from fucking Baltimore."
Would he say that though?
Yeah. Because he was such a, like, you watch these shows nowadays, and people are like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to be my most authentic self," and it's just like, Scott was doing that from day one.
Very good. Pinball Wizard asks, my kids are getting into watching wrestling, and I struggle with the issue of keeping it kayfabe for them or explaining how wrestling works. What are your opinions on this? Good question. Interesting. The wrestling dad's conundrum.
I mean, I don't know how old they are.
Well, just getting into wrestling. Let's put them at 8.
If they're 8, they've already Googled, is this shit fake?
Maybe.
No
reason to keep the illusion alive?
It's like anything else. When somebody say, "Well, that is what you do fake," and you say, "Yeah," and they say, "Well, not the chairs." They go, "Oh, yeah, the chairs are that's the fakest thing of all." And they, because they would end up defending your business, towards if you said, you do the Schultz and break somebody's, pop somebody's eardrum with it, so that feel fake.
I was going to say you Eddie Graham, and they're rolling over in their graves right now, Kevin. So
you know what? I woke up off an airplane a couple weeks ago. I didn't take a bump. I didn't do shit. I didn't work out. I didn't jerk off. I didn't take a straining dump. And man, I had sciatica, and it didn't go away. And I went and got an MRI, and I've got a couple herniated discs, and that ain't from anything except cumulative damage to doing that fake bullshit, landing on wood with a 300-pound guy landing on top of you.
mm-hmm.
I was watching the other day. There was a match. Somebody had sent it to me on one of the social media thing, and it starts off where Bill hits me with a spin kick. That's like the first clip, and Russo's out there, and Jeff's out there, and that kick looks like it tears my head up. But I think that, thank God I was so tall that I could, like, Bill, I wasn't, it's like when I throw a punch at a normal human being, like, my wheelhouse is kind of right where their face is. So I'm not punching up, where, Bill always had to kick up.
Right.
And it gave me a chance to get, out of the way more so. So I didn't take the velocity of those kicks. I always enjoyed, Bill, there's something about going out there with a guy that, like, Brett was stiff. That's why his shit looked good, because he was stiff.
Mm-hmm.
Sean was stiff as fuck. Shawn Michaels was stiff. Scott was stiff. If you were Scott's friend and they told Scott to hit you with something, be ready for a concussion and stitches, or a combination of both. Because if the more friend you were, the harder he was going to hit you with whatever he was hitting you with. So.
Wow. All right, Trash Boat Were you ever approached to do any horror movies with your size? I can see you being a great Jason or Michael Myers. You did one, right?
I did a
Weren't
couple.
you a bad guy in one?
I did a couple. I did one called what was it called? I did the
Exactly.
Manor. That was a low budget one. That was kind of a horror movie. But there were two movies that I did that never got released. One, I was this giant vampire, and we shot it down in Austin. I only shot maybe 4 or 5 days on it, but I was this giant vampire, and the sound guy, they didn't pay the sound guy, and he took all the fucking sound tapes. So that movie never got released.
Wow.
And the other one was called Rachel's Revenge, and Victor, I think his name was Tomasino, he did that, and it just kind of went awry. But what we had, like the footage that we had, was really some good footage. It just kind of it's just one of those low budget things where the budget was gone before the film was finished.
With current acting roles, is that something you'd be okay doing? Being a hooded killer or creature?
No, I got no desire.
How about from the audience? Let's get some questions from our friends here at KliqThisTV.com. They've signed up. They've joined the crew. Like Kevin Gilbalt. Kevin, have you ever been to the Motor City Comic Con?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I was at the first Motor City Comic Con in Novi. I was a guest at the first one. I've done the Astro a couple of times.
Are each of these that different in every city? Like the Motor City Comic Con, the San Diego Comic Con? How different is one to the other?
It just depends. But the Motor City, like it was good the first year I did it, and it's a good one.
Okay.
Like the one in Salt Lake City, that one's incredible. There's the Galaxy Cons right now are really doing well. So if you're out there and you're looking for a Comic Con to go to, and you want kind of the top of the line, Galaxy Con is used to be Wizard World back in the day, but now it's and I think Wizard World, Steve, that's still the one that runs San Diego, right? San Diego Comic? No, it's just San Diego Comic Con now. But that used to be a Wizard World. But Wizard World had they ran Chicago was a huge show that they had. That was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that you could do well. But I'm at the point now. It's just I'd like to go out. People say to me like, "Why do you go out?" I'm just like, I really like to go out and say hi to the people that have supported me, throughout my 30 plus years of doing this. It's not, it's nice to go and meet people, especially people that and they have a picture of you from 4 years ago of you and them someplace. And they're like, yeah, I made a copy of this so you could sign it. And you sign that one. They take another picture. And then 4 years later, you sign that. So it's just like, and there's a lot of them that become like, I mean, I've had dinner and hang out with them. And, when I come into town, and I got a buddy, Brian, that I'm going to do some stuff with that used to just drive me, from town to town. And he and I have become friends. And they wanted me to do like 3 small little wrestling show type things, and I really didn't want to do it, but I was just like, man, Brian and I are getting old. Like it'd be good just to for me and him just to hang out for 3 days. I haven't seen him in a while. He's my friend, so it's just like, Bill's my buddy Bill is wants me to do Winston-Salem, so it's gotten to the point now where it's more about the people that I get to hang out with, the people that bring me in. Gilbert's,
Right.
Gilbert, I'm exclusive with Gilbert, but he'll let me do things here and there. And then now I think Gilbert's giving that spot up, and then I think Cassie will be my new boss, and she's a sweetheart, and I'll be working with her with Prime Time.
If you want Kevin, reach out to Prime Time. Who else we got in the audience here? Our friends, our 11 Soft crew. Like Ben Lutz, do you think the Netflix doc will be a hit piece on Vince and Netflix, wanting people to know that they are fully distanced from him as possible? Well, Netflix owns this outside of the purview of WWE, so it's doing whatever it wants. So I don't think the positioning of WWE in it,
No.
they're going to have any control of.
No, they don't, and that was, I mean, that was one of the things to make this thing happen, was that they had to have complete control of the.
And at the time, it was fine. There was no crisis.
But they have. I mean, they've added footage to it. They'll cover this. They'll cover this to current. But as we've talked about 1,000 times. Everybody jumped on this craziness, and then it was just like, I'm still waiting for something to come to fruition that doesn't have the appearance of, absolutely, is it sexually perverse? Yes, but is it a money grab? I don't know.
There hasn't been an update, right, about any, they talked about the legal aspect of it. A couple of weeks after it broke, there was an announcement that there was an investigation, but nothing conclusive, right? I didn't miss anything.
I haven't seen anything.
All right, who else is in the house? Who else has the love? Ace Ramon. We're going to talk about the second assassination attempt today. Well, it was an assassination plan, right, Kev? Would you call it an attempt? I mean, he certainly wasn't there to play checkers.
No, but I just, if you sit someplace for 12 hours and you put 2 ceramic tiles on a fence, like, they keep putting over the Secret Service guy that, saw the barrel of a gun as he walked through, which is like, and then like nobody's made the reference to the fact of, if I was walking along and I saw like, 2 tops of coolers taped to the side of a fence, it might draw my attention.
What about the gun? I don't know enough about guns.
You know what, when they first it first came out, they said that it was an AK-47, and I went, nah, that nobody would use an AK-47, and they said
because it's not accurate enough at a long distance.
It's just, it's a 7.62 round. It's a larger round, but it's just, that was always the thing, was the AK is a really that's what the Viet Cong, and I mean it's durable. You can pound nails with it. It's not as touchy as a M16 or an AR-4 or AR-15 or any of those weapons. I just have never if my job was to be an assassin, I would probably use something that you would shoot elk or deer with. It's like not a assault rifle.
Right.
I would use a hunting rifle, and not an Italian made 1924. So it's fucked up. My whole thing is, man, it's like whether it was a stupid choice of weapons, whether it was actually the fact is, like, I look at myself, and if somebody took a shot at me 2 months ago, you wouldn't fucking see my ass ever again. I mean, I'd have a key to a gym. It's like you, and this guy is out playing golf, and they took a shot at him, and then I mean, I don't understand, for somebody that eats McDonald's, drinks Coca-Cola, never ingests water, he's not in shape, is constantly being positioned to be charged with fucking some kind of crime.
Felonies after felony.
Yeah, felony after felony. He's been a scammer his entire life. He doesn't exactly tell the truth. Like, all those things that you would think would just absolutely catabolically eat you from the inside out, and this guy, man, just pushes on. So I don't know if that's what people find. Like, to me, like when I read and saw the coverage of his first hotel in Harrah's, which is, I think at that time was backed by Holiday Inn, or they were in a conglomerate, and he had 26 acres of real estate in Atlantic City, and they were going to put $50 million into this project. Harrah's was, and they were like going to show up, and they were like, before they were going to give Trump this money, they wanted to see that, that Trump could pull this off from an absolute, just pure construction standpoint. And when he found out that basically they were going to call his bluff, he went out and rented as much heavy machinery, bulldozers, backhoes, steam, and when they showed up, they were basically just moving dirt around.
But there was activity.
Yeah, just a ruse. And I saw that story, and I was just like, this motherfucker, it just never stops. So people tell me, I love when people tell me I hate Donald Trump. I've never met the man. I don't hate anybody, I mean, I hate Hitler. I never met him, but I've got a reason to hate him. But to me, it's just like, I don't want him to be my president. But do I think he could fucking book heat in a fucking booking committee? Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I'll hire
That's
Donald
the gauge
Trump.
I always
Yeah.
use.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll put Donald Trump on my booking committee, and he can come up with. I mean, I guarantee he could come up with some. Let's not do that. Let's just do it this way. Oh wow, that's really fucked up. Yeah, that's much better. I just don't want him to be my president.
Right.
That's all.
Could be like a Sullivan, a master heel booker.
Yeah.
How about somebody to finish us off from the live audience who can step forward and do that at this time? Ace Ramon, are there any cool road stories that I should reenact with my action figures? So that's a new element, Ace. You don't just have the matches. You leave the ring and take somas and go to the gym.
The Tasty World Soma story, I always thought could have been a 30-minute short that would have just
Tasty. Tasty World. This isn't the one in the diner where.
Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't a diner. It was called.
It was back in the day. Days Inn had a restaurant that was connected to it. I think it was called Tasty World.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of like Howard Johnson's had their own little restaurant. So Days Inn had their, and we stopped, there because this is the fine lodging that we were, grabbing a hold of. It's
The sandwich day, the sandwich at catering day.
Yeah, the old fucking, hey, there's a Days Inn, boy. That's probably won't be able to count the pubic hairs on those sheets.
Kev, take out your diner's card. Was it diner's card?
Diners was for the cars.
Oh, the cars. Okay.
Yeah, so you get the loss damage waiver for free.
Right. So go ahead. So take us there again.
Oh,
For those
so I
that
mean,
don't know the story.
it's so we're driving. We've got a Lumina van, and I think Paul was driving, and I think I think I would, I would have but I always would like, I wouldn't get fucked up because I'd keep Paul. I was being his, his co-pilot, but everybody else was pretty toasted. And so we walked into this in the side of this place, and as we were walking in, I just looked at Paul and I said, Paul, police those beers, because there were beers on his side that the guys had finished and then sat down in the parking lot. I said, like, get those out of the way. And I didn't know there were any cops in the vicinity. And lo and behold, man, we walked into this place, and it was, I think we were the only people that in there that weren't cops.
Didn't have a badge.
It was like 40 cops in this place. And so Kid was pretty fucked up, and Scott kind of got him like kind of in and out, like, whoa, like
it was borderline from.
Yeah, so they got him to, so he was in the back of the van already. So now it's me, Sean, and Paul, and we're sitting in the, and I don't know if Scott came, I don't remember if Scott came back in or not, but we ate. We ate some food, and they always used to say, carbs kick the somas, brother.
Yeah, they
and all I know is, I mean, they hit Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
And it was time for us to leave, and they had already seen that we were. And I think Scott. Yes, I know Scott walked in because Scott said, "Any of you guys want to wrestle?" Like loud to him, like not to stir shit right off the bat. And then as we're leaving and Sean's with us, I mean, Sean's, into the full shakes, and I hear a cop go, "Fuck that's it." And they're up they come, man, and we're trying to get through this double, like there's a glass door, small little like little lobby area where you'd have like a fucking
vending machine.
Or some shit. And we're trying to get out to the vehicle. Because we know once we get out there and we get these guys in, Paul hasn't had anything. So Paul's going to be absolutely fine. And they basically said, and I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. And they're trying to put cuffs on Sean. I said, whoa. I said, he's diabetic. They said, well, he's got two options. And he said, he either goes to the hospital or he's going to jail. And I said, hospital. So I'm pretty sure we were somewhere around Louisville. So we ended up at the University of Louisville Hospital. And I went with the ambulance with Sean.
Mm-hmm.
And Hunter got the other three got Kid and Scott and got them checked in, and then got a room for me, and which I never got back to. And so we go, and like Sean is like full just. So we get there, and the admitting physician is is questioning Sean, and he's like, hey man, what day is it? Who's the president? And Sean's like, "Bah, bah." And the guy's like, and I'm laughing. And he looks at me like, oh, you think this, and he says to me, oh, you think this is funny? And because we're such douchebags, I said, Doc, I said, he's going to fucking kick out in a half hour. I said, but I'm not going to fucking say because he's eating Soma. I said, he just needs some orange juice. So I brought him orange juice, and he had some orange juice. And then he fell asleep. And we're in like the emergency room, and he's in a bunk or bed, and I'm in that little chair next to the like you would be. He's got monitors on him and everything else. And there's two cops that are like in the lobby of the emergency room. Like they're not we're not out of the woods yet. So is Sean, within a couple of hours, kicks out. I'm staring at him, and I look at him. He looks over at me, and he just says with his eyebrows, he goes, like,
What's going on? Yeah.
And I said, can you hear me? He said, yeah, I can hear you. I said, I told him you're diabetic. Da, 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 da. I laid the whole thing down. So I said, I'm going to go get the doctor so we can get the fuck out of here. And so I get the doctor. The cops come with the doctor. And Sean's like, yeah. He said, we've been on the road. I had nothing to eat. It worked. And he said, man, I don't know if that's syrup or. He said, but man, he said, I spiked. He said, I don't remember much. He said, I kind of blacked out. So they bought it. And now I've got to get a hold of Paul, because Paul's got to come. We don't have, we went in the ambulance. So Paul's got to drive from the hotel to pick us up. So Paul comes, picks us up. We get out, we go to the hotel, and it's like 8 a.m. So Paul goes back to sleep. Sean, who has been sleeping all night, goes back to sleep. And I at this point, I might have got 2 hours, but the next shot we have is like a 1 o'clock on Sunday in Indianapolis. And it's like, and I'm in the main event, and we get down to the van, because it's like, it's been like 3 hours that we've been in this hotel. We get down in the van, we pack everything up, and Paul's exhausted, so Paul wants to sleep. The other three, like, it was almost like when you're a little kid and you go to the drive-in movie and you fall asleep, and then your mom and dad, they carry you and they put you in your bed.
Yeah.
That's basically what this was, but reverse. We took them out of their beds and put them in the back of the van, and they fell asleep. And I'm like, how the fuck am I driving to this town? So we drive to that town, and I mean, I'm motherfucking everybody. And we have the show. Everybody, worst thing on earth, because you're one of the boys, is, God forbid, no matter how bad you feel, you go out there and put 20 hard minutes in, you're going to break a sweat. And once you break a sweat, so we ended up in Indianapolis, and this is what they had, the old Market Square Arena. We end up in Indianapolis. We're leaving, and they're like, everybody's like, they're starving, and there's a Fridays on the corner, And I'm like, I'm not fucking drinking. I'll tell you that right now. Man, we weren't in that Fridays 15 minutes, and we were pounding beers and laughing. And I mean, just so.
That time's about what, 300 a year? 275?
There were some nights that it was. I mean, it was pretty.
Some nights you didn't go to the Tasty Freeze or whatever. You just laid your head on a speaker in a club.
Kind of like the Shawshank Redemption, right? I like to say he put up a fight. Sometimes he did, sometimes he didn't.
Exactly. Kliq This is a production of Butch and Sundance Media, produced in association with Podcast Heat, created by Tristan Nash, Kevin Nash, Sean Oliver, producer Steve Kaufman, graphics by Dominic D'Angelo, who's hopefully cheering on his Jets to victory. Title sequence and audio edit by Wesley Burleson. Theme song by Dale Oliver. Technical research by Tristan Nash. Copyright 2024. Butch and Sundance Media. Kev, you want to do another one?
Sure.
Let us free to fade away into eternity. Circulate, you've come to love me, but now I'm frozen in dead flesh. Oh, Sophie, knew all along it was a trick, but the customer service never answers the thing. Let us free to breathe in air we're supposed to breathe. Through twists and turns, you've come to love me. Now I'm cold, I'm frozen. Baby, we're broken, and the customer service never answers a thing. Yeah, the customer service never